So here are 5 national park rules you should know before embarking on an African safari. Number 1, stay in your vehicle always, just like how it says. It's very self-explanatory. Stay in the vehicles always, unless you want to become prey. Well, the reason is, and especially in the national parks, you're not really allowed to be stepping outside for several reasons. It's for security reasons, but also it's for conservation reasons. But they are designated places where people are allowed to step out their cars and make movement. For example, in your lodge or in the picnic sites or in any other permitted areas where you're allowed to step outside. Number 2, no off-roading unless permitted. Within the national parks, off-roading is something that's heavily no bueno. And unless you're a person who carries a special permit, which for people doing filming or in other respected areas where off-roading could be permitted, it's very much encouraged to not off-road because first, off-roading destructs the environment where you start creating ways where in areas that aren't supposed to have ways. And also that could also bring about disruption between human beings and the wild animals because most of the time off-roading is caused by when tourists want to get a bit closer to the animal, either for pictures or for sighting reasons. And that sometimes does break about the boundary. So stay in your lane and no off-roading. Number 3, keep the noise to a minimum. I know it's the first time seeing the lion and you're screaming, but we need to understand the voice frequencies for us human beings and the wildlife are very much different. So sometimes it's very much respectable and very much advised to just observe silence in a very healthy manner. Because, for example, in the case of elephants, where they sometimes would communicate through infrasonic sounds, having somewhat of a noise could be somewhat of a disturbance to their communication just because of intervention of frequencies. But another thing is, you're closer to an animal and you start making noise, that sometimes could come out as rude, man. And you don't want to be rude, don't you? Number 4, no feeding the animals. I know you got a lot of love to give, but it doesn't apply here, especially in areas where, for example, there's vast engagement between animals and tourists. For example, in picnic sites where you'd find the animals sometimes coming to you, either trying to rob you, which has happened to me several times, or just coming close to you and, being all cute. Sometimes you would really get tempted to feed the animals. But also, we need to understand that's us crossing the boundaries where we're not creating a certain level of dependency for these animals. Number 5, to observe speed limits. If you as a tourist and as a driver or tour guide who is responsible for managing or handling a motor vehicle, it's very much encouraged in a very legal manner to observe your speed limits because within these roads that we call roads, these are actually homes to these sacred beings, which is wildlife. And sometimes their movements could sometimes be somewhat of irregular. And hence, if you're a person who's driving at a very high speed, then there's a higher risk of you damaging their lives or altogether. So the safari life is so much poly. I don't know why people need to speed, man, because you're already there. So stay tuned for part 2 of National Park Rules. I really hope y'all can make the most out of these. See you soon, guys, on the next video.